After 2 months without club action, Football Club Barcelona get their pre-season underway in earnest. They do so with a big game at the Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida, with some delay due to adverse weather conditions, something fairly typical of these pre-season friendlies in Orlando. They take on Manchester City with Pep Guardiola, the legendary Barcelona player and manager, at the helm. It's one of the big fixtures in European football. There are some slight changes, some players unavailable for both sides, but set to be an entertaining encounter and a great test for the Blaugrana ahead of the La Liga season, which gets underway for them on the week of the 12th of August. There we see some of the stars on display, a couple of players who were not in action in Euro 2024, Erling Haaland and Jack Grealish for Manchester City. Barca without their Spanish players from Euro 2024, also without a series of players who are away with the Spain Olympic squad. There we see some of the scenery in the background. Looks slightly overcast as well in Orlando for this game between Barcelona and Manchester City. Starting lineups to come for you. Beginning, of course, with Barca. Hansi Flick's first test in charge. It is going to be intriguing to see how he sets his side up, even without some of the first team regulars. Greetings between the two players. They've had plenty of time to get acquainted with one another in this delay ahead of kickoff. It's been a relaxed summer for that man, Erling Haaland. Manchester City have had a couple of friendlies ahead of this one. And this is the Barca starting 11. Iñaki Peña in goal, Dominguez and Lenglet in the middle, Martin and Fort either side, Casado and Bernal. That double pivot with Victor and Araujo either side of Pablo Torre and Vitor Roque. It's a 4-2-3-1 formation from the new head coach, Hansi Flick. And an interesting lineup, needs must as well, with some positions being covered by players who've come up from Barca Athletic. Manchester City lineup for you. Ederson in goal, much speculation about his future. Guardiola and Phillips in the middle. Wilson Esprand and Lewis either side, with O'Reilly and Kovacic ahead of them. Grealish, Oscar Bob, McAtee and Haaland complete the first 11 chosen by Pep Guardiola. I'm Doug Bishop, joined by Spencer Siegel for this one. The wait is over. We finally get the chance to see some sort of Barca lineup, albeit without some of the first team regulars. First game in charge for Hansi Flick.
Yeah, the season is here. We've been waiting, not as long as we normally had to wait, because we had plenty of Euro action throughout the summer, but we know what these players have been up to, a lot of them trying to recover. Some of them have had to play throughout the summer, so the first thing that we get to see is not only a look at what the new squad may end up looking like and the form and shape of the tactics and formations that Hansi Flick wants to implement into this team, but hey, even the new kits too. We get to see them for the first time in action, which for me, you can't judge a kit until we get to see it out there. Looks pretty good to me. I'm excited to see a lot of these young players in action. Victor Roque specifically, we see him number 17 there. He's a player that has a lot of unanswered questions for many Barca fans, mostly because he didn't get the opportunities that we thought he was going to get once he arrived in January.
Well, there is Pep Guardiola, he and Hansi Flick, the only two coaches to have won 6 trophies in a single season. There is Hansi Flick, the new incumbent in the Barca dugout with the departure of Xavi Hernandez. He's come in with a point to prove, looking to steady the Barca ship and looking to get the side competitive in 2024-2025. This will be almost an ideal test for his men. Quality players up against the Blaugrana in that fetching new strip. Barca will be going from right to left in the first half here in Orlando, Florida. We get things underway. First chance to see Hansi Flick's side in action. Manchester City, of course, Premier League champions, once again eliminated in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Once again, a side who are tipped to be favourites for all competitions. They've not ruled out some transfer movement as well over the summer. At the moment, though, it's been a quiet few months for Manchester City. At the back, Barca trying to get it upfield to Marc Casado. Second pre-season tour in a row with the first team for Marc Casado. Lots of fans very excited about his future. It's a good chance, Spencer, for him to show his stuff in pre-season.
Yeah, I think there's a chance for a lot of players to get their opportunities now, because we know that there are so many who are either out or either resting or getting their chance to play, for example, for the under-23 side at the Olympics. So when you get your opportunities now, even if you only have 45 minutes to do so, this is really a chance to take it, because with a new regime at the helm, this is your chance to say, okay, they're working with a clean slate, so who knows who actually gets the playing time moving forward.
Well, we've had some modifications in the Manchester City line. Calvin Phillips playing as a centre-back today. Intriguing inclusion. He was very much out of favour with Pep Guardiola the last 2 seasons. Went out on loan to West Ham United last term. Normally plays in the double pivot role as a understudy to Rodri. However, he's slotted into the defence today. Pep Guardiola has been known to play centre-backs in the midfield and vice versa.
They talk about a player in Rodri who has his position, just doesn't want to give it up. We have been sort of speculating this year who's going to win the Ballon d'Or. There aren't as many clear-cut options as we've had in the past. He's the favorite to me at this point, no? I mean, he wins the Euros with Spain, he wins the Premier League with Manchester City, and he's the unsung hero of all of it, really. Not here today, of course, because he too needs some time to recover.
Rodri, one of those players who featured for Spain in their winning side in Euro 2024. Manchester City play a similar kind of style to Barcelona, maybe a little bit more dynamic as of late. And this one is sent down the line, one to chase after. And it's cut back to Iñaki Peña, big summer for him as well. Always speculation about the future of Iñaki Peña. Finally got that extended run in the first team last season with the injury to Marc-Andre ter Stegen. How long will he be happy playing second fiddle to the German? Will get runs out in the cup competitions, of course. Imagine Marc-Andre ter Stegen, though, one of the best in the world, if not the best goalkeeper in the world. That's his position pretty much locked down. Short pass from Calvin Phillips here to Manchester City. Number 75, O'Reilly, a player who's come up from the B team. Here comes a right-footed shot, which is closed down by Barca.
This is a really good first test for them, especially for Hansi Flick, to see what his team is capable of tactically. You saw right there a quick giveaway, because the first instinct typically when you regain possession, as we've seen for years with Barca, is go backwards first to reestablish some equilibrium, and as soon as they did that, City pounced right on top of them, because that's what they do. Their high pressure wins the ball back. So they're not going to be able to revert to the easy option. And I know it's just the first game, and we know that man has a lot of ideas in his head, and he's provided them to both teams throughout his illustrious coaching career.
Well, renowned for for springing a few surprises, Pep Guardiola, in the playing style for his side. He doesn't seem to have overthought things for this. He wants his team to get up to fitness, and this low shot goes wide. First effort across the bows from Manchester City. No need for Iñaki Peña to intervene. There's a cut onto the right foot. Low strike here. It all started from that long ball from Calvin Phillips. Controlled here, Jack Grealish shimmying inside. The low shot from him outside the left post.
And he's one player who is going to be fighting for his place in the squad this year, Grealish.
And this ball comes through, and it's not quite into the path of the Barca forward. They're looking to find Pau Victor. Didn't quite get his step correct to bring that under control.
I'd say the first couple of times we've seen the ball head out in his direction, Grealish out on the left, he's looked sprightly, which is something that we haven't said as much in the last 2 years, 3 years since he's arrived from Aston Villa. The thing about Jack Grealish is, if you have somebody pushing him, which in this case this year, Savio, a player that Barca know pretty well from a season ago, that'll be an interesting case for him.
Manchester City trying to make their way into the box. Barca get it half clear at least. This Manchester City side, though, relentless in possession. It will be a good test defensively today for Barca as well. Not one of the cases in which they go up against maybe lower opposition and fill their boots, getting the striking mechanisms together and pretty much nothing else. There will be shots to contend with. And there is the second effort of the game. Another cut inside, another right-footed drive. Looks as if it was a Grealish again after Oscar Bob squared it up. Comes over to the left-hand side. Jack Grealish facing some stiff competition with Jeremy Doku and Phil Foden favoured in those positions. The Barca player looks as if he was fouled. The referee tells Vitor Roque to get back up. Big summer for the Brazilian as he tries to play his way into contention. He was brought in as a player for the future for Barca, but we're already speculating about some big doubts. Here comes Erling Haaland. It's come back out to Oscar Bob on the right-hand side. The two Norwegians might combine, and it's squared back. Good defensive work from Barca to get that clear inside the 6-yard box after letting Haaland and Bob through. Well rectified by the Blaugrana. And struggling to keep possession. That's back from Oscar Bob to Rico Lewis.
That's absolutely a case of it being the first preseason game for Barcelona. We don't have to know that it's the first preseason game to know what they're going to look like, which is typically a little bit sloppier on the ball, a little bit more clumsy and less forward thinking than we're used to seeing, and that's normal. And City have already played 2 games, so they're going to feel a little bit more into this game the first 15 minutes than Barca.
2 unsuccessful games. They suffered defeats in their opening friendlies. Try and get things going, and that deflected shot goes out for the first corner of the game. Here's another look at that half chance for Haaland. He couldn't bring the ball under control. Let's see who the Barca player was who cleared that away. Well, we may never know. It was a rapid-fire movement as Barca defended their lines inside the area. Here's Bob. Last season was a breakout campaign for him. Yeah, a couple of terrific goals in the Premier League. Making an impact in the Champions League as well. Another shuffle in from Grealish. He's picked out a good pass there, and Iñaki Peña, again, doesn't need to make the save. Haaland to Rico Lewis. Should be forced back as Barca keep up the pressure on them towards the halfway line. They're waiting to release Pau Victor as well. Pau Victor, 20 goals for Barca Athletic last season. Part of the first team training camp and summer tour. Meanwhile, Barca Athletic, we saw them play yesterday evening against La Escala, losing 1-0 under interim coach Alfredo Sanchez after the departure of Rafa Marquez. Still a lot to be finalised with the Barca B team, like with the first team. And this is well left to run through by Pablo Torre. Gets the momentum going. That ball will come in early, and Ederson is out quickly. Never averse to striding off his line, the Brazilian goalkeeper. Dives at the feet of it looked like Pau Victor.
That's good goalkeeping from Ederson to come out in that moment, but I have to say that's the second movement in the first 10 minutes from Pablo Torre that I've seen that I really liked. He had a nice, ingenious back flick early. Hold on now.
Here's Oscar Bob. Got past Gerard Martin, plays it to the back post. Looks as if it may have crept its way in there. It was Erling Haaland meeting that. Iñaki Peña got something onto the ball. And we'll see from the replay whether that went in. It's largely inconsequential.
No goal line technology in La Liga, no goal line technology in these friendlies, but it sure looked like it went into me.
There's the effort at the other end, and after that, just beaten for pace. Gerard Martin managed to get back goal side. It's a delightful flick over. And we'll maybe see another angle of that later on, but Erling Haaland trying for the finish, and Iñaki Peña getting what he could on the ball.
For any true football fan, this is why we love the preseason. We're seeing Oscar Bob on one end, we're seeing Pablo Torre on the other so far. These young players getting a chance to shine. Araujo's another.
Araujo back from his loan spell and asked some questions of the Manchester City defence. That ball coming in had to be delivered away. So Josko Gvardiol slides in. Here's another look, maybe from a better angle. See whether this one did go across the line. Well, that's,
I don't know. I think that might be a goal, Duncan, but you know what? It's the preseason. Nobody's going to put up too much of a fuss, except maybe Erling Haaland.
Erling Haaland, prolific goal scorer, just showing the combination he has with Oscar Bob. We see the first Barca corner. An abundance of height in this Barca side. And lifted into the area. There is an attacking foul from the Blaugrana.
But this is what I'm talking about. Let's focus on the Barca side for a second. We look at Pablo Torre. Last season on loan at Girona. Barely found his way into the squad. I think a lot of people thought, well, with the departure of Oriol Romeu, the midfield needing some help at Girona, he would be a guy that can come in and create, but they didn't really need him in the end, and actually it was his youth that kept him out of the squad. He was going there to get experience. Obviously, they make their Champions League run. That experience became something that ended up hurting him. Let's see what happens with him this year. It's a good start for him in the preseason, and we'll keep our eye on number 6 throughout this game because so far he's looked pretty impressive.
Some of these players as well, especially with the change of coach. It's a clean slate, a chance to impress. Hansi Flick with no previous connection to these players either in the large part.
No, and it's pretty obvious when you come in, especially at Barca, who have so many resources as in terms of player personnel. You can go in with that blank mentality of how you envision your team looking and taking each player and building them up from the ground floor. I think that's what he's thinking with these preseason games. What am I getting out of all of these players? Because he's already said himself he loves the look of the talent level of La Masia, something that we obviously already knew existed. There goes Pablo Torre again.
Pablo Torre has done so well in the middle of just letting the ball run, being able to turn and then kick-starting the attack. But meanwhile, on the counter is Manchester City. First time delivery across. Too far behind Erling Haaland for him to finish off. A let off for Barca there.
It's still preseason, Duncan. Those are the ones that go in January.
It is something of a makeshift Barca defence today with Gerard Martin, Clement Lenglet, Sergio Dominguez and Hector Fort. They wouldn't have played alongside each other on too many occasions. There's been some really good work from Barca in the centre of the midfield. As we said, Pablo Torre, lovely vision, tends to scan around and find the best option before receiving the ball. And Rico Lewis getting a little kick there by Vitor Roque. Here comes Rico Lewis, delivers that at pace, too much pace in fact. And Jack Grealish, he tumbles over. Set piece in Barca's favour, in Manchester City's favour rather. It's Grealish who goes off the field of play under the push of Hector Fort.
City come out trying to attack at every possible moment. This Barca defense that's fairly inexperienced, as you said, are going to have to learn on the fly. Of course, no Araujo for a while. Christensen, Pau Cubarsí, who's playing elsewhere at the moment in the Olympics. A lot of a learning curve, including defending set pieces.
Jack Grealish takes the free kick, swerves it in, asks some questions of Iñaki Peña, who frantically backpedals to palm that over the top. Effort on target there, and that time the intervention of Peña was required. Now the corner is the option to play this short, which we've seen Manchester City do plenty of times with Julian Alvarez, with Phil Foden, with Kevin De Bruyne. It goes long, trying to it, and Barca might be a little worried there that they allowed Erling Haaland to get in front of the defence, maybe switching off there, Clement Lenglet. Well, whipped in at pace. Haaland couldn't meet that at the back post. He got in front of the Frenchman. Another player is back from a loan spell. Spent last term at Aston Villa, the resurgent side. Will also be playing major European football next season. In the centre, that is rather lackadaisical from Manchester City, and Barca have 4 players who can go forward. Here's Casado looking for it. Pablo Torre couldn't find him. Vitor Roque tries to cut that back, and we saw a little bit of frustration there because there were bodies forward, but there was no angle for the pass. It looks like Pablo Torre just wanted his teammates to come a little bit closer to him.
I'd like another look at that. I don't know that we're going to get it, but Pablo Torre, well, here we are. Let's see. No, this is just a replay of the foul. That was one thing that if you were looking for ways for Pablo Torre to improve last year, it was finding that right pass. Sometimes he almost tried to be too creative with it, and in his defense, that time around, it seemed like all angles were closed down. But you do want to have a pass there to come through and at least get a shot towards the target.
Marc Bernal lays that off to the right-hand side. It's now with Marc Casado, the number 30. Waiting to make the run off the last man is Pau Victor. Sergio Dominguez to Lenglet. Manchester City had just backed off Lenglet briefly. And they're packing that central channel, making it difficult for Barca, forcing them out onto the wings.
This is more like it.
We'll finally get to see that Barca passing play. We're working on possession football, playing against Manchester City. Maybe not ideal. They're a side who like to have the ball as well. It's going to be an interesting few weeks, a series of fixtures for Barca. Get them in tune for the new season. Real Madrid at the weekend, AC Milan and AS Monaco in the Gamper Trophy. All before that season opener on the 17th of August against Valencia. Then taking place at Mestalla. Coming up to 20 minutes gone here, but it's been a pacey game so far. A couple of chances still waiting for Barca to test that man Ederson, though. Bellingley. Long ball over to the right-hand side.
Nicely done.
And this will be cut back. Once again, it's Guardiol who cuts out the danger. A little bit more incisive, though, from Barca as they get into the final third.
Yeah, two of the positions I'm looking at, of course, we've talked about Pablo Torre, but Julian Araujo on the right-hand side has a legitimate chance to be a starter this year. He was out on loan at Las Palmas a year ago, played really well for them, had a couple of moments where he lost his head.
Here comes another chance for Barca. Again, Vitor Roque was an option. He was ignored there. It's backheel. There's the side-footed effort. It's not too far off as it flies above the crossbar. It was Marc Casado appearing from that second line. And again, nicked from the Manchester City midfielder Oscar Bob in possession by Pau Victor.
It's nicely done. It's good work from Pau Victor. It's hard work winning the ball back. And Marc Casado, when he's played with the first team, it's usually been along the back line, a lot of times at the right back position. But his position for me is that number 6. And he's not quite playing that. He's playing a joint role a little bit more today with Marc Bernal. But I like when he has the opportunity in the middle of the pitch to use everything around him. That time, a decent effort on close to the target.
Pass it back on the defensive. See that first shot, though. That will hopefully be a sign of what's to come. Teamed upfield by Calvin Phillips, looking for the runner, and Barca just shut the door there. Clement Lenglet sweeps up the ball. Do have some first-team regulars on the bench for Barca who could come on, including Robert Lewandowski, Oriol Romeo as well, Inigo Martinez, Alejandro Balde. Good to see him back after an injury hit finale to the last campaign. We'll go over to the right-hand side. There is a call for this from Vitor Roque. Has to check his run to keep level with Calvin Phillips. Martin. Led. And Sergio Dominguez starting off that move. Casado had spread it out to the right-hand side. That is a rather stray ball that is kept in. But it undoes some of the forward progress. And Gerard Martin had to scramble that one under control. Oh, beautiful flick through. Here comes the opportunity for Barca. And there is the opening goal. Pau Victor, who scored 20 goals for the B team last season, slides in the ball in this pre-season friendly to break the deadlock. First chance on target for the Blaugrana. And it is a well-taken goal off a clever build-up from the Blaugrana. Barca 1, Manchester City 0.
Well, Barca are really excited about this young prospect. Pau Victor has an eye for goal. We saw it last year. You said it. He scored 20 a year ago. And at the top level, can he do it? Well, this is a good sign to see him get in on goal behind and really just slots it past Ederson with relative ease. He goes right between his legs. That's all you need to do. Just put it towards the target. Good things tend to happen when you do that. It's a calm finish, and Hansi Flick is excited. It's the first goal in his era.
Pau Victor starts at centre forwards, and it takes him just 24 minutes to get off the mark in this pre-season encounter. They just threaded through the legs of Ederson. He's beating Calvin Phillips for pace. It was a delightful flick to set him up as well. Pau Victor makes it 1-0 midway through the first half. Manchester City look to respond. This is a run down the left-hand side. It's an Esperant. Overs from him. Can't get the cross off. The body's in the box here for Manchester City. And Gerard Martin is in there as well, though, and he hoofs the ball over the halfway line.
Well, it took them 5 or 10 minutes to get into the game. I think that's an acceptable excuse, considering they haven't played any real football yet this season, and it didn't take them much longer after that to get comfortable. They've been in their rhythm, Barca, so far. They've been able to knock the ball around confidently. It only took one little through ball in behind to find one of the newest number 9s. Of course, that number still belongs to Robert Lewandowski, but Paul Victor looks good so far.
Well, they see Lewandowski in the second half. There was an action in the European Championship with Poland, but Lewandowski, one of those who has travelled with the squad. He's Calvin Phillips for Manchester City in that deep-lying defensive role. He's the player who lunged in looking for the block on Paul Victor's shot, but to no avail. Guardiola put under pressure. You can hear Pep Guardiola trying to give instructions to O'Reilly, playing as the second midfield pivot. Calvin Phillips out to the right. Just goes slightly astray.
It's interesting to see how Barca are choosing to defend so far. Given the attacking options that they have, some of those players are dropping back and filling a double role. We see Victor Hoek, look how far back he's coming just to help out his back line. And on the other side, Araujo's doing the same. He was a traditional right back for Las Palmas in the last year, at times pushed up to right wing back. That seems to be a little bit more of the role he's choosing to fill here today, or that Hansi Flick is putting forth. Because Hector Ford is also a natural right back, so they both get their chance at the same time.
That's a typical adjustment for a player out on loan from Barca. Goes to a new club on loan. They find out he's got maybe more attacking talent than the rest of the team. So he's put further forward. We saw that in his day for Marco Correa when he played at Eibar. And we saw that last season with Araujo. Sometimes used as an impact sub to add some pace going forward. It could be a breakout campaign for him. He'll be one of the players defending this free kick in. Going to be a left-footed delivery, swerves towards goal. Iñaki Peña gets in front of it, maybe got a touch off the Manchester City player first. Trying to push that towards goal. Let's another look. It was Calvin Phillips who was flying after the ball. We're about to reach the half hour here in Orlando. Considerable delay due to the weather conditions here. There haven't been too much of an effect on the playing surface. It's a little bit bumpy, but that's been no problem for the players. No rain either at the moment, nor a strong wind. But you always have to be careful in Florida. There's sometimes you just have a hurricane blowing through, or some strong winds, or heavy thunderstorms.
It happens out of nowhere too. You'll have a thunderstorm for about 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden you'll have sunny skies.
It's fairly typical in pre-season friendlies in Orlando. Maybe even have the players out for the handshake, send them back into the dressing rooms, and then wait for the storm to pass. 80-minute delay for this one. Pass back to Rico Lewis. And a couple of good seasons at Manchester City, but has to compete with Kyle Walker for that right back position.
Good luck with that.
Trying to make his way into the box is McAtee. Back from his loan on out to Sheffield United. I'll be very keen to have him back. This could be McAtee's time. Ball is cut back here. Manchester City looking for the finish. It's all a little bit of a scramble as Erling Haaland looks for the ball. Now Rico Lewis. That's cut back. Side-footed shot. Blocked by the Barca back line. And Barca defending very deep. Finally managed to get the ball away.
Defending deep, defending calm. It seemed like that they, at any moment there, could have lost their cool. These are some really nice opportunistic passes by City, with the ball just pinballing around in the area. But it's good defending. First, I think that's Casado. No, that's out there defender. Actually, it was Pablo Torres' header initially, and then the block from Martin. Could have been a lot more dangerous. That's what City like to do, of course. They like to create that pressure by just seeing what happens when the ball bounces around in the box. Nicely done.
So Clement Lenglet getting touch tight on Erling Haaland. They have played against each other in the Premier League. Lenglet's loan spell last season at Aston Villa. Unknown future for Clement Lenglet. Has had some problems with injuries in the defence last season. And maybe Clement Lenglet will be one of those players who either turns over a new leaf under Hansi Flick, or he's sent out to another club and either on loan or on a permanent deal. Early cross in. This is handy for Barca. Maybe the second ball doesn't quite get away from Calvin Phillips far enough for Blaugrana to pick it up.
It wasn't so long ago that we were talking about the defense for Barca when they put up the best defense essentially in Europe 2 years ago.
That ball played across is a useful one that Edison, again, outside his 6-yard box, is able to pounce upon.
That this team had an abundance of defensive depth. We thought, well, they have 5 or 6 center backs if you include Koundé in that picture as well. And then, as you said, last year, the injuries took over.
Over the top looking for Haaland. Can't get round Iñaki Peña. He follows suit from Edison in getting to the edge of his area and making the clearance away from the Norwegian.
This is good back and forth football. Although it's interesting, neither Pep nor Hansi have opened their mouths. Anytime we pan to them, they haven't said a word. That's got to be a case of the preseason gears turning in the head, but nothing yet coming out. Communicative.
Well, it should be said that Pep Guardiola, he hasn't sat down yet on his in his technical area.
It's because when he sits down, he's always talking to his assistants to try and figure something out. But I think he's all just doing it in his head right now.
We may see some wholesale adjustments for the second half. Wouldn't be too surprising if both sides change their entire side for the second stanza, as Oscar Bob is pulled down. So Victor Foryou on defensive duties, giving away another free kick on the near side.
Now, this is a learning experience for him too. If he's going to be asked to track back that far, he has to know that he's got to defend a little bit more delicately in those moments, because giving away too many free kicks in an attacking position like this can be dangerous.
We are about to see another free kick in, maybe from Oscar Bob. There's the option as well for McAtee to take that. McAtee steps away, Bob swings it in, doesn't find the head of Haaland. And back out to Grealish. Grealish, delicate chip in. But Peña heads away with that double punch. And on the box from Guardiola. That might have left some vulnerability at the back for Manchester City if Barca can break through the press. They win the ball back illegally, and it's a free kick in a shooting position for the boys in blue, Manchester City. Now there it seems by Araujo. The appeal for a penalty as Guardiola went down in the box. Araujo had just sent Manchester City player Mark Bernal's way. And Bernal provides the roadblock. Free kick in a shooting position. I should put a player down behind the wall as well, just in case this is struck low. Calvin Phillips. And Iñaki Peña pushes that away once again. Calvin Phillips low down the pecking order for free kick takers normally for Manchester City, behind the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden. Well, his chance, had it on target. Iñaki Peña has to fly across. Short by Phillips. Green is trying for the 1-2. Into the box. After looking to get this clear, they managed to do so through Araujo. Short pass by McAtee. Guardiola. On the ground for Wilson Esprand, who got some limited first-team opportunities last season in the Cups. Bob. They just slowed down his momentum. Barca are able to capitalise, and they will surge forward here. We've got 3 players running through the centre, held up again by Pau Victor. And Pablo Torre has been the best Barca player with the ball at his feet in the first half. Just loses possession there in something of a rarity.
Really nice break from Pau Victor too. He's showcasing his skills in just about every part of the pitch, because there's a winger's run down the left-hand side.
Dropped back to Calvin Phillips. towards Nesbrat. Inside, low strike. Again, Iñaki Peña diving to his right to meet that effort. Had a bit of pace on it. Iñaki Peña able to spot that through the traffic. This was a spectacular save he made from Calvin Phillips. It was spinning with plenty of effect towards the top corner. Latest effort comes from Jack Grealish. Into the area, Oscar Bob cuts that back. Haaland strikes wide. Under pressure from Sergi Dominguez. Looks like Dominguez got the last touch on that as well.
I think he did, and the frustrations for Erling Haaland, at least in this half, is something that he won't forget about at halftime. He'll forget about it tomorrow since it's the preseason.
Corner over to the back post. Headed down by Haaland, delivered clear.
He's had a couple of chances, Erling Haaland. And remember, he's finished slow last year, too. You want to pick it up early at the beginning of 24-25.
Foryou into the box. There's the finish. There's the equaliser. Manchester City back on terms. It's O'Reilly who latches onto that pass and sends one low out of the reach of Iñaki Peña. It's Barca 1, Manchester City 1.
For all of the good defending that Barca have done, this one was slightly sloppy. The back line didn't pull up as much as it could have. Yeah, you can see actually that they just weren't in sync. It was Langley who was sort of caught out and played O'Reilly on side. 1-1.
That one good finish from O'Reilly, a player from the Manchester City B team. All square coming up to half-time here in Orlando. It cancels out. And the opener scored by Pau Victor.
Manchester City goal scored by number 75, Nico O'Reilly, in the 30th minute.
That's what to respond immediately with Gerard Martin. Looks to the 1-2, it's slightly overhit, but it may very well work out for Barca. They get a corner here. Well, it's going to be given as a goal kick. We've seen a few decisions which haven't gone Barca's way high up the field. Look at that Guardiola pass. O'Reilly taking that past Iñaki Peña. They're back all square with 5 minutes to go before the interval. And Lewis, Phillips. Teammate, that was gone back a little fairly cleanly by Barca. In case they get Foryou behind the ball. Now so Pep Guardiola a little more exasperated. Maybe based on the current trend, maybe the weakest side that Guardiola will field all year. Tended now in the cup competition to field strong lineups from the start, even against lower league opposition. Rico Lewis stings the hand of Iñaki Peña, but it is a good stop from the Barca goalkeeper. Good back here. Good effort with that sliding intervention, but no inroads from it. Let's look at Rico Lewis's shot. Good save from Iñaki Peña.
Nice steady arm. He's made a couple of saves today, Iñaki.
Halfway line, couldn't quite pick out Victor Hockey or Pau Victor. Too often we see Barca go route one. Victoria trying to pass through. The instructions from Hansi Flick. It's going to end up being a mix of English, German, Spanish as the season goes along.
Yeah, I think we're all thinking it, right? It's got to be a team effort in terms of communication, because Xavi typically communicated in Spanish, although if he needed to, he could switch to English or Catalan. Hansi doesn't have that luxury as much.
It's been a long time since we've had a Barca coach who doesn't speak Spanish. This is the time of Terry Venables. in the 80s.
I know that it makes everybody here at Barca TV who have work to do a little bit more busy because they're typically translating from from Spanish into English. Now at least us on the English side, we don't have as much work anymore. Doing it the other way around.
Well, there was that one season with Bobby Robson. He had quite a famous interpreter, one Jose Mourinho. Hansi Flick. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem on the training ground. He'll have Thiago as well, who's able to translate and knows the Barca system as well, an ideal incorporation. In terms of vocabulary he'll need on the training ground, it's fairly limited. We've seen coaches get by with very little in the past. Press conferences might be more of a problem, but it might be Hansi Flick's advantage.
I was going to say, that might help him more than anything because it's harder to give away as much and to allow the press to play you as much if you don't understand everything.
So we're coming up to half-time. We probably won't have too much in the way of stoppage time added at the end of this first half. In an energetic first period, of course, the imprecisions of pre-season and unfamiliar players. It's been entertaining one so far with Nesbrand trying to turn the Barca defender. There's the block. Here comes the follow-up. Big deflection. Takes the ball out. Barca unhappy with what they thought was a ball out of play. Played into the area.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth
Grealish.
official has indicated
A solitary minute of stoppage time to be added. Grabbed by the goalkeeper, Iñaki Peña. Has a look upfield. He's in no hurry to send it up there, though. To the right. Get those passes going. One back by Manchester City. Well, we do expect wholesale changes for the second half. Got it. Check with the watch from the referee. Looks like we're going to end the first half in possession.
It's turning into a rugby match. They're letting him finish the possession. We're beyond the extra minute, well beyond it, but go on.
Is that Alco? Barca players waiting for the whistle, which is not forthcoming. Here's Gerard Martin. Cuts that back. It's allowed to run.
Sure.
Beautifully left. Right-footed strike. Second goal of the game, and it's Pablo Torre who drives that one in. Ederson gets a hand to it, but he cannot keep it out. And right at the end of the first half, Barca make their way out in front for a second time. It's a great strike from Pablo Torre after it was beautifully left by Pau Victor.
Yeah, Pau Victor again is in the midst of it, and Pablo Torre capitalizes on what's been a very good half of football for him. It's a nice dummy. And Pablo Torre with one little shimmy shake onto his right-hand side. Boy, if we're talking about real competitions and not friendlies, there's some polemica to be discussed about how long that first half stoppage time went on for. But you know what? We're all here to have fun, so let's do it. 2-1 at the half.
We reach the half-time break. 2 goals for Barca from Pau Victor, and Pablo Torre have them 2-1 up against Manchester City. We'll be back for the second half. We're back at the Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida, and the second half is on its way of Barca's first pre-season test. They lead the way against Manchester City by 2-1. Goals from Pau Victor and Pablo Torre right on the stroke of half-time, handing the Blaugrana the lead. There was an early equaliser from Nico O'Reilly for Manchester City. There we see him on your screens, one of the players who's staying on for the second half. You can imagine that there would be a series of changes at the interval. Perroni is going to come on for Manchester City, and for Barca we'll see the introduction of several players by the looks of things. Stefan Ortega, also a change of goalkeeper for Manchester City. This is an opportunity maybe for Hansi Flick just to run the rule over some of the players who he won't have seen that much of. And just confirmation of that change that Edison goes off. We'll also have the introduction of a Barca player. We'll confirm that in a moment. But it is second half action on the way with Barca out in front. Barca first out from the tunnel for this delayed second half. As the Blaugrana going from left to right. Ortega getting a touch, passes that out. Ortega maybe getting a more frequent role in the first team this season if Edison departs. Barca substitutions then. Alex Valle replaces Hector Fort. There's a change in the defence for the Blaugrana. Tony Fernandez is on for Julian Araujo. Hansi Flick maybe face a bit of a dilemma. He'll want to make movements in his side, but he doesn't want to break things up too much. Victor Roque has been replaced by Kim Yun-Yet as well. Maybe on the hour there will be more changes made by Flick, and immediately it's a stern challenge from Maximo Perrone.
Welcome to the game, Kim Yun-Yet. It's another La Masia product, which, as we were expecting, many of them would get their opportunities in this early stage.
Perrone has come on in place of Erling Haaland. Norwegian who a couple of chances and one that may have been a goal that Iñaki Peña was deemed to have kept off the line. Haaland who played no part in the European Championships, of course. This is inclusion in this game. Replaced by Perrone, we'll see how Manchester City line up top. If it's not Haaland, it's Julian Alvarez. And Julian Alvarez not available today. He was away in the Copa America and Argentina's success in that competition.
For Manchester, substitutions at halftime, leaving the game, number 31.
Back to Iñaki Peña. Long ball up here, a bit of route one from Barca just to switch things up. Instructions for the Manchester City goal scorer, Nico O'Reilly. Pep Guardiola is guiding him through this game as Barca win that ball back. It was rather careless from Manchester City in the centre. Managed to recover.
And just 3 changes for Barca at halftime thus far means we're going to get a lot of players who will likely look at about 20 to 30 minutes of time in the second half to get their legs underneath them.
They run down the left-hand side from Manchester City. Shimmy in from Grealish. The end product was lacking. Been shown onto his right foot by the Barca defender, fresh onto the field of play, Alex Valle.
You said that he missed the end product, but everything leading up to that from Grealish looked pretty good, and this is what we've seen from him throughout this friendly so far. He's clearly working himself into a better physical condition and a more technical ability to weave through the defenders, which is, I think, what he's been lacking the last couple of years. But if he regains that, he could be very dangerous down the left.
He's running the captain's armband for the second half. Skippers the side with several of the regulars, Ruben Diaz, Kevin De Bruyne and Kyle Walker, all absent from this game. Phillips to the outside. By Oscar Bob, one of those Manchester City players who stayed on for the second half, who is part of the first team setup. Grealish. Esbrand. Tried to cut that back, and it was a tidy pass that Barca read well. Another one sent uphill on the counter. Stefan Ortega improvises. He gets the ball away.
Seems like the further along we get in footballing lore, as we continue this evolution of the sport, the keepers are further and further and further out from their area. That's a prime example.
A lot of teams playing like that in La Liga last season. Valles, the Las Palmas goalkeeper, player was furthest out. We saw Marc-Andre ter Stegen go on a few strolls in his campaign. Clement Lenglet getting into it with Oscar Bob. Run into the area for Manchester City. They look for the penalty. Come off for them. Victor, the player brought down. Hansi Flick might be on the hour mark, looking to make more changes. Traditionally what we see in pre-season friendly. Some players could do with a half hour in their legs.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that there were only 3 changes made, but I think you're right. I think it's more about protecting some of the players who are going to come on, some of the regulars.
Taker had come way out there. His defence has sold him down the river slightly. Guardiola heading across. Had that been intercepted, Barca would have had an open goal to which to shoot.
And the further out they come, the more opportunity we have for some spectacular distance goals, with the keeper being caught out of position.
They tend to come in spades, these long-range goals. See certain players inspired by others scoring from the halfway line. It becomes the fashion. With Grealish.
I'd say the 2 that come to mind recently would be what Patrick Schick did in the Euros of 2020, and then I believe Harry Kane hit one not too long ago last season, no?
Follow the ball from Wilson Esbrand. Against the cross in. Phillips. Grealish really steps out of position now, all the way over into the middle. To work his way through. Here's Wilson Esbrand. That pack, Barca do get it half clear. Barca trying to look sprightly on the counter-attack when Manchester City commit players forward. Is Mateo Kovacic. Guardiola to Kovacic. His second campaign at Manchester City. Enjoyed much success with the likes of Chelsea. That's given us a foul, rather soft one against Marc Casado. Marc Casado is going to be one of those players who wants every minute possible.
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there who could benefit too, like Casado, from playing extended minutes in these friendlies. So yeah, of course you're going to have your regulars with Robert Lewandowski or Balde, who still needs to get actually some minutes under his legs, considering the injury-plagued season he had last year. But some of the younger guys, yeah, they could go all day, and some of them will.
Here's Kovacic into the box. Cut back, takes a deflection. Barca again defending deep, winning the ball away and trying to break quickly. So, a yellow card.
It is another nifty turn from Pablo Torre, but before that moment, this is part of the problem, I think, sometimes with wanting to live in possession, is they try to pass the ball into the net. City, Barca are guilty of it too sometimes too. That's one that's just got to be a shot.
Here's Casado. Took a while for Barca to get their first shot off. In fact, their first effort on target was the goal from Pau Victor, 24 minutes in. Nico O'Reilly is the player who's booked. And Casado have both been booked in the last couple of minutes. Some space here for Vitor Roque. Slide rule pass from him. Ortega is rounded, but Ortega recovers. Making the save as Pau Victor looks for his second goal of the night.
It's another nice movement from Pau Victor, and this is a slick pass outside of the boot. That's on target from Pau Victor. It forced Ortega to make a pretty decent sprawling save.
There's a Barca corner. Pablo Torre is going to take. He was the main creative force for the Blaugrana in the first half. And across, powerful header out. The instructions being screamed out from the sidelines. Sitting with a stray pass, Ortega has to keep that in. Pulled down by Alex Valle. Playing right back in the second half, having come on for Hector Fort. Through the middle. Just a twist of the ankle maybe for Tony Fernandez. Hobbles away after miscontrolling. May have just rolled his ankle inside the area. Delicately for a strike, and there's too much underneath that. It wasn't clean contact. The strike goes off target, but it's another look on goal for the Blaugrana.
For as good as Pablo Torre has looked all game, he'll be upset with himself about the contact on this one, because Barca have done everything right to get into these positions. That's a brilliant stand-up at the back post, too. He'll know that he wants that one back, Pablo Torre. He's been great so far today.
Lifted over the top. For the breakaway, Barca will have to defend. Play through the middle, here comes Grealish. Grealish looking for goal, may have taken that too far, he hasn't. He's put that in to the top right corner. It's the equaliser for the second time in this game for Jack Grealish. On the break, he strides away. Scores past Iñaki Peña. It is Barca 2, Manchester City 2.
And it's the second time that Barca, with a lead, have allowed a goal that almost seems too easy to concede. This is a pretty simple run. Nobody's stopping the ball. And I don't know, let's have another look here. Grealish puts this one in, and Iñaki Peña is tied to his near post, but he does leave a lot of space in that far side. It's just a good finish. That's a quality finish from Grealish in the end.
Grealish once again taking on Valle. This time around he shoots first time, his less favoured foot. He gets the equaliser for Manchester City. Half an hour to go here. The score remains the same at full time. We will get a penalty shootout. And facing any penalties will be the Barca goalkeeper on his way on, because we've got a change here. And it's going to be Ander Astralaga with the B team, and he comes in. First experience with the first team.
Astralaga has climbed the ranks for Barca through the youth system and playing for Juvenil, playing for Barca Athletic. We'll also get a few more Barca Athletic lookies like Noah Darvic, who I've enjoyed seeing in spurts.
Barca also bringing on, by the looks of things, in place of Pau Victor, it's going to be Robert Lewandowski. Changes probably not reactive. They would have been planned anyway for the hour mark. They come coincidentally just after the Manchester City equaliser. Marti. Lit. Flicked on it is. Claimed by Ortega. we've got a player down for Manchester City. Looks like it might be an injury. It's O'Reilly who is down. Scorer of the Blues' first goal.
Always trying to monitor and manage the workload of these players in the preseason too, especially that first game. Don't want to let anybody stew and sit out there too long. Risk an injury. It seems like this will be close to the end of the line for O'Reilly.
It does appear as if Mamadou Sissoko is being warmed up, just in case. And there he is. It might be a triple change. Right and Fate also being prepared to come on, players who haven't had much first team experience with Manchester City. To Ortega. Walked away here. And looking through Lewandowski to cause some chaos inside the 6-yard box. Ortega manages to get down to the ball. His defence cleared away anyway. We get those substitutions now. And Kovacic, McAtee and O'Reilly being withdrawn. And Guardiola as well, with Doyle to come on. Wholesale changes made by Pep Guardiola. Still have around about 25 minutes to go. A little bit more youth brought on. And some of the more experienced hands make way.
And if you're a City fan, if you're a football fan in general, as we cruise through the second half, for City's purposes, for Barca eventually, when we assume they'll make a few more changes of this ilk, you get to see what some of these young players have in the tank. They're all very familiar with one another because they've played with each other at various youth levels, either within City's youth organization or obviously in La Masia.
Played out by Ortega. Ortega pings that over to the left-hand side. Wilson Esperant, he might see out the full 90 minutes today. A player who gets regular playing time for the Blues. It could be an answer for them on the left-hand side, but they've typically had problems at left-back. Wilson Esperant. Grealish. Diagonal crossfield ball from him, sent long to the right. It's out of play. Across. And Barca trying on the break when Manchester City commit players up towards the halfway line. Barca at times have been able to break through. Was coming up at the weekend. El Clasico, the American version, without some of the players who we will see when the season gets underway.
We seem to get one of those a year, and the last 2 years we've gotten two separate golazos. One from Rafinha, and last year it was Fermin. So I can only imagine that somebody else's left foot is getting involved this weekend.
Bringing the occasion stateside, it's part of it's been the trend for Barca in pre-season. Before it was taking on some local sides, trips to places like a lot, or games against Girona when they were still in the second division. Then maybe a couple of games in the US against MLS sides. But the change now is all competitive games against top level sides, with due respect to the aforementioned. But against sides who they may very well meet in the Champions League. Ideal preparation for the start of the new season, which is just over 2 weeks away. right-hand side. Clipped in, looking for the drop and the volley. It's a big deflection that allows Barca to get it away.
And part of the preseason rituals, I think everybody realizes too, that even if you're playing the big fish rather than some of the minnows, you don't have to trot out your ideal starting 11 and play them for 90 minutes. That's what we're seeing today, and that's normal.
Cutting side might see a shot on here. It is run away by Clement Lenglet. And a cynical foul there, just as Barca were attempting the break. And it brings with it a yellow card for pulling back Davi.
Well, one thing that's aesthetically somewhat different is I'm not used to seeing, at least no, I don't think many of us are really in the last couple of years, a number 10 shirt out there. It was given to Ansu Fati, but of course he was on loan last year. And in terms of wearing the number 10 and the responsibility that that bears, even though this is preseason, as we know, that's still fairly high praise for the young German.
Davi has the number 10 shirt for the time being. We'll be watching his progress keenly over the course of the campaign. 20 minutes remain in this one. It's a stalemate, 2 apiece between Barca and Manchester City. There's another long ball for the Blaugrana. It's going to be useful if there's a cut back there for Lewandowski. Lewandowski not making a diagonal run to the back post, not making a run to the near post either, decides to hold back. Something which you can do, but you need a teammate to make that run for you, to leave you open.
Yeah, I thought he was going to reward Kim Junient for that excellent control down the left. And Junient was out of options before he really had a chance to make a decision.
Upfield by Calvin Phillips. New role for him today in the centre of the defence. Barca at times play with 3 at the back. So it's been a fairly disciplined display. We're going to see more Barca substitutions though. It's these kind of substitutions which tend to break up the game. Only 20 minutes remaining. Wanting to give players a few minutes. And when some of the tactics maybe break down. Hansi Flick is going to bring on 4 new players. Through the middle is heavy control. That won't have Pep Guardiola very happy. Beautiful movement there from Lewandowski. Looks like he took a kick on the ankle for his troubles. It was a delightful turn from him though.
That's what he gets for trying to establish a little bit of rhythm in the preseason, as he gets nicked.
Try that pressure on the goalkeeper. It's nearly paid off, but Barca will get this clear. Several players will be glancing over to the sidelines, wondering if it's they who are going to be hooked. Wanting to make one final impact on the game. It's Wilson Esbrand who's gone down with a spot of cramp.
No time like the present then to facilitate some of those substitutions. Even the young players, despite the fact that their legs can probably go on for a little while longer than some of the veterans, it being preseason, not being used to running for a full hour and then some. We'll see some subs.
Marc Bernal going off. Oriol Romeo is one of those who will be introduced in what is a quadruple change. Casado replaced by Guillermo Fernandez. Lenglet is coming off as well for Inigo Martinez to come on. As Cuenca replaces Sergi Dominguez. And we'll get to see Alejandro Balde replacing Gerard Martin.
Substitution for Barcelona in the 74th.
A series of changes late on made by Hansi Flick.
Inigo gets some run, and it's good and better more than anything to see Balde back out on the pitch. We've missed him. I think Barca missed him last year at times. There were players stepping in his stead. Joao Cancelo was superb throughout the season, but we knew that this was a youth movement at the lateral positions in defense. Balde has to be that guy for now. He'll continue to get his opportunity.
So changes as well for Manchester City. And Betty's come on for Wilson Esbrand. Hamilton replaces Bob. Complete change in the defence for Manchester City. A couple of players have stayed on from the start, Grealish amongst them, and Rico Lewis, Calvin Phillips as well. That familiar bellow from Pep Guardiola on the sidelines. So Spencer, he seemed to be taking things fairly relaxed in the opening minutes, and now he's got into the swing of things, Pep Guardiola. Shouts for his players, giving the instructions, which maybe the youngsters need.
It's pre-season for everybody, Duncan. That includes the vocal cords of the likes of Pep Guardiola.
Another unconvincing pass back is dealt with by Astralaga.
He's replaced by number 97, Josh Wilson Esbrand.
I suppose your vocal cords too need a little bit of tuning up. It's been a long summer without football for us. But you seem to be in mid-season form, so I'm not worried about that.
Well, 2 Barca goals to call already. That is promising for the Blaugrana. The first 2 goals under Hansi Flick. The centre with Wright. Players come on for Wilson, Esbrand and Bete. Trying to make his way down the left. It's a roadblock. In the form of Tony Fernandez. Tony Fernandez again. Standing in front of the runner. It's a stray ball. Far too much of the Manchester City fullback.
Because now you'll find a combination of tired legs and fresh but stale legs at the moment. That's what this next 10 minutes is going to look like.
Astralaga. Phillips to the right. Into the area. Once we can deal with it. Head upcoming tests for Barca, Real Madrid, AC Milan, and the Gamper Trophy game against AS Monaco. Before the season gets underway on the 17th of August against Valencia. First home game comes 7 days later against Athletic Club. Another, I expect it to be half campaign at the Olympic Stadium. And Spotify Camp Nou gets remodelled.
I think we'll enjoy our time there while we have it. It's been certainly a change and different from the traditions of what we're used to seeing at the Spotify Camp Nou. But the pageantry that the Olympic Stadium brings creates some memories, and although it was obviously not a fun way to have the only Clásico there, it did look different, despite the fact that Jude Bellingham sort of ruined the party.
Tomas will be back there for the start of this season. With a few changes, of course, not least the new coach, Hansi Flick. Coming up to 10 minutes to go, and if the score stays the same, we'll go to a penalty shootout. Not too many of the players who featured in the last respective penalty shootouts for these sides on the field. But of course missed out against Real Madrid. That miss from Bernardo Silva. Defensive work from the number 12, Alex Baillet. Several players have impressed tonight, pre-season friendly as it is. In particular, 2 of the players involved in the goals who are now off the field to play, Pau Victor and Pablo Torre.
Ladies and gentlemen, attendance this evening is a solid crowd of 63,237.
Well, that'll work.
And a hefty attendance today for some of these fans, their first experience of watching Barca in the flesh.
And there's a lot of fans that'll come to this game not really knowing what to expect. Maybe they're familiar with the main first team Barca, but not so familiar with some of the players that have come to play today. If they're following the game as intently as you and I normally do, they'll come away with this thinking, wow, Pau Victor, Pablo Torre, these are names to keep our eye on to potentially, eventually, make their way into bigger and brighter lights.
There's something a paradigm as well with the American way of following sports. A lot of these fans, they follow players, and this is more of a team effort because it's not the first team stars, the main regulars. But they might have just spotted some for the future who they can say, I was there when I saw Pablo Torre or Pau Victor tearing things up on the pre-season tour. It's the occasion, seeing Barca. There's plenty of gravitas as well. We might see a cross in here from the Blaugrana. Does fall inside the box. Too much time taken in lining it up though for Tony Fernandez. The back line.
When you talk about the American football fans following the sport, I can tell you from experience that when I was living there, it becomes a lot easier to follow this sport, whether it's this club or a specific league, because there's a lot of competition when it comes to sport in America. You've got American football, you've got basketball, you've got hockey, ice hockey, and those all happen throughout the same seasons. And not to mention college athletics as well. But what's beautiful about this game and why I think it's got the ability and the potential to grow in the way that it has, which is why you see 63,000 fans in Orlando on a Tuesday night, is because these games typically when they're happening in La Liga or the Premier League or the Champions League is that they're happening at times of the day that are otherwise untouched by other sports. It's 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 o'clock in the morning, and people are waking up starved for something to watch, some sort of athletic event, and they get good football.
Even with 18-minute delay, this is a more palatable time for a kickoff for the US audience. We're going to see Heskey come on. The number 81, replacing Jack Grealish, who sees out 84 minutes of action today. Impressive performance from him. Got a goal as well. Captained the side in the second half. One of the first team players who have Barca are drawn against Manchester City in the Champions League at some stage this season. One of those players who might feature in that game.
Yeah, he was the best player by far for City this year, and look at that, almost a full 90 minutes too.
We're edging ever closer to penalties unless there is some breakthrough in the closing moments. Alex Valle plays back into the defence. Here's Andres Cuenca. Alte on the left. And into the area, there's the header out. And it is recovered by Ortega.
For as many saves as both keepers had to make in the first half, Astralaga and Ortega coming on in the second half have had very little to do. I think that's just a product of the breakup of this game, the way it's evolved with the substitutions.
They may be facing 5 shots from the penalty spot apiece. If there's no change in the score in the next 5 minutes. Ortega. Not seen that much from Astralaga, truth be told, since he came on. In the 61st minute, quietened down in front of goal from Manchester City.
One of the catch-22s of being a keeper, trying to work your way up through the ranks and getting your chance in preseason. Of course, you want to keep a clean sheet. You also don't really want to face it. Well, you want to face shots and you don't. It's a little bit of both.
Well, you don't want to be just a spectator as Astralaga dives on top of the ball.
You want to be able to prove that you can make certain saves, but that requires, obviously, a defensive assignment lapsing and a shot that forces you into action.
sure Astrolaga won't be asking his teammates, go on, let the Manchester City players through. Let me face a couple of shots before the end of this one.
Even though he probably wouldn't mind seeing that.
No way through there for Football Club Barcelona. Trying to make some inroads because of the number 7, Guillermo Fernandez. Came on for Marc Casado around about 25 minutes ago. Here's Ortega. Now Rico Lewis. It's the incursion. Got Heskey there with him. That right-footed shot is a wayward one. It goes out of play. It's out for a goal kick. Another attempt that doesn't come off, so we see some of the Barca players on the sidelines having been subbed off. Pablo Torre and Pau Victor, maybe the standouts for the Blaugrana in this game. Here's Fernandez. Step of that ball lifted into the area. Lewandowski. Barca holding on to the ball. Possession has been fairly evenly distributed in this game. Especially at the start, Manchester City maybe just had slightly the better of it due to their more experienced players on the pitch. It's been an energetic showing from both sides. Held on to by Alex Valle. Alex Valle is now onto the right. Tony Fernandez.
It's definitely been energetic, but I think one thing Hansi Flick and his staff will be pleased with is that they'll just have something to look at.
One delightfully pulled down by Tony Fernandez. Left-footed strike to no avail. Is blocked.
They won't go too deep into the well with this footage from this game tonight, but they'll at least have something that they can break down, showcase, show their young players, all right, this is a spot where we need to improve, this is something that I thought we did well, and then have 5 days to recover before getting back to it against Madrid, where a lot of these players will get their 30 to 45 minute chance yet again.
Hansi Flick not happy with the decision by the referee. We're about to reach the penalty shootout. First of all, we'll have stoppage time. Wright will take the free kick. 4 additional minutes to be played.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official has indicated that there will be a minimum of 4 minutes of added time.
Calvin Phillips with a long diagonal ball. And let's try to get something going. Offside flag stays down. Through on goal, and Lewandowski can't finish. The defender runs across him and makes the block before he can pull the trigger. Lateral pass, Lewandowski. It looks as if he just fumbled his second touch. Does force the corner. Back out Valde. Alex Valle. That's Tony Fernandez. Penalties loom. There'll be a shootout just for fun, but it's good practice as well for when we get into the knockout stages of competitions. Of course, Barca will be competing in the Champions League again this season.
Yeah, and we're talking about, hold on,
Could be a chance here to grab a winner before the end.
we're talking about Astrolaga not getting a chance to do much. Well, at least he can stand between the sticks and try to dive the right way.
Back with Ortega. Dragged down by the Barca number 10, Tarvik. About to reach full time of the regulation time. Maybe one last chance for Manchester City. Nothing becomes of that ball through. There's Astralaga. Toys with the opposition attacker. He'll get the ball back at his feet. Balde given a free run down that left-hand side. Tries for the early cross in. Calvin Phillips blocks. Balde felt that it was a handball. And the referee opines differently.
It was in very close quarters. You're not likely to have that whistled, especially in this situation. And thankfully, I speak for myself here, but thankfully we don't have to go to any sort of VAR review for anything like that. Not necessary.
So Balde will take this throw. Will be the last action of the game by the looks of things, before the penalty shootout. Alex Valle. Opening here for Lewandowski. Also had the chance to lay that off to his teammate, but it's a striker's instinct from Lewandowski to go for goal. And with that, we reach full time. This will go to a penalty shootout to decide the winner of this pre-season friendly. Pep Guardiola and Hansi Flick will decide on the takers. And this makeshift Barca and Manchester City 22. Very few first-team regulars now on the field of play. And it's going to be a penalty shootout here in Orlando. And a chance for the goalkeepers to show their stuff.
Yeah, a chance to get out there and see what's going on. Ah, look! Pep and Thiago, that's an image right there.
Well, the man who gave him his big break. Pep Guardiola, who brought up Thiago, has now announced his retirement as a player, and he's joined the Barca coaching staff. He will be an excellent addition to help out Hansi Flick. Let's take on some liquid, and then we'll get these penalties underway.
They'll be pleased with their performance today, Barca. They'll know that they have plenty to work on, and that's par for the course. But I thought they did a lot of things well. I thought Pablo Torre was really good in the middle of the park, especially letting the ball flow and sort of dictate the direction of play. That was something that he tried to do a lot of in the last 2 seasons, and it didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to. I thought today, and again, this is a friendly, so it's just one example, one game. There's a lot more to do this season, a lot of work. But in terms of getting those opportunities, he was good at it. I thought down the left-hand side and through the middle, Pau Victor was really good. He mostly played through the middle, but he helped out, tracked back defensively, made a couple of runs that were, I would say, 30, 40-yard runs down the left that helped, obviously, setting up the second goal, scoring the first. He was heavily involved. And even for a guy like Lewandowski, there were opportunities to be had. Just didn't quite take them because it's the first game and those legs are a little crusty, a little rusty. It's going to take some time to get back.
Well, we're looking at Pep Guardiola noting down the penalty takers. This would be an ideal moment to see Hansi Flick's man management. To see.
Who wants to take a penalty? That's what he just said. I'll take it. Look at him. He's just letting whoever wants to do it. I love that. This is great. Because he's not doing that in the Champions League.
Rather more relaxed Pep Guardiola than we've seen in previous instances. But again, it would have been nice to see a bit more of Hansi Flick, see what his approach is.
That's, if I'm a player, if I'm one of the 10 youth players that have maybe never made an appearance for City in a non-friendly, if Pep asks me, who wants to take a penalty? Is he playing mind games with me? Do I have to raise my hand? Should I not look scared even if I've never taken one in my life?
It's surprising at times the amount of players who maybe will never take a penalty, who you think would, who have a lot of goals to their name at their low down the pecking order. A few of those last season. Well, Robert Lewandowski might be taking a spot kick, you would imagine, for Barca.
That would make sense. There's the man.
Takers decided upon. see which end they're shooting towards. Who will be kicking first?
Love it. Treat it like a knockout style game. Let's go shoulder to shoulder. And make sure that we give these American fans something that a lot of them want to see, which is a winner.
Well, Robert Lewandowski is about to take the first penalty for Barca. Trying to lead by example. He'll be facing down Stefan Ortega. Lewandowski has that curious penalty-taking technique. And he takes a direct run-up that time around and sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. Lewandowski opens the penalty shootout scoring for Barca. Not too much of a pause there from Lewandowski.
No pause, no nerves, no problem. Now we get to see what Astralaga is made of. This is another part of this friendly. It's just an added element.
He's up against Calvin Phillips. He's playing a new role in defence today. Phillips steps up, Astralaga tries to put him off. And goes the right way. Astralaga makes the save. It's 1-0 in the penalty shootout. And Astralaga diving to his right, keeping out the penalty from Calvin Phillips.
He will take this memory with him into the regular season. His role might not be the #1 for the senior squad, but this is invaluable experience.
And next up, Davik, who takes the second Barca penalty. We'll try and follow in the footsteps of Robert Lewandowski. And he sends it cool as you like, straight out the middle. Ortega saw it late. And Davik makes it 2-0 for the time being. Second Manchester City penalty on the way. Can Astralaga make it 2 for 2? It's going to be a right. With the penalty for Manchester City. Himself big again. He goes the right way, makes the second save. It was a nice height for him. And Astralaga with the double stop in the penalty shootout.
You see the smiles on the faces of the veterans too. Lewandowski, Oriol Romeu, Inigo. They are all thinking, we love it for this kid. And those two saves right there are not easy to read. Also with the full-on advantage.
Well, it's Balde who takes the next penalty kick. Square run up, and pulls over to the right. Goalkeeper gets the right way, but Balde tucks it inside the post. Nicely done from Balde. Make it 3 from 3. Russo. And we'll have to deny Fate. The Swede who came on in the second half. Lines up his spot kick and he becomes the first player to beat Astralaga today. And a slow, languid free kick into the net. Barcelona now will win the shootout. Tony Fernandez is given this responsibility. it up. Take on Ortega. Keeps running down the middle and just passes the ball into the net. Barca have won the shootout against Manchester City. It's a victory for Hansi Flick in his first game in charge. Up next is El Clasico at the weekend. This makeshift Barca side continue to get prepared for the coming season. 2-2 in normal time, 4-1 in the penalty shootout. Barcelona win against Manchester City.